Welcome back, everybody, to Afterglow. I am so delighted to bring on this guest. This is a person I've been wanting to bring on for a very long time. In fact, she is not only one of the OG beauty creators and created so many different trends and inspired so many different people in this space, including myself. She is also someone who has walked and embodied this incredible spiritual journey that has also inspired me too. Please give a warm welcome to Christina, aka Chrisspy. So in this episode, we go really deep on how she's grown and evolved mentally, physically, and spiritually. So I really hope you enjoy today's episode.
So I'm Chrisspy. I grew up in the Bay Area, and then I moved down to UCLA, and I worked at Mac while I was at UCLA, and I also worked at this company, Shoe Dazzle. I was a production assistant.
I remember Shoe Dazzle.
Yeah.
That was the thing that you paid a monthly subscription and you get shoes sent to you, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I had no idea you worked at Shoe Dazzle.
Yeah, for years, like all throughout college.
Did you get free shoes?
Yes.
I'm sure you did.
Well, and the sample size was like 6.5 because I think that's like Kim Kardashian's shoe size.
Oh, yeah. She did invest in it or got
Yeah.
equity in it. I remember. Yeah.
Or I don't know, whatever. But so I didn't wear a 6.5, but my roommate did. So the shoes that they would give to me, I would give to my roommate. And sometimes it would be like a wooden heel.
Yo, are you serious? That's the sample?
But we didn't. It was like only like a 4.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Anyways.
Your roommate must have loved you though.
No, yeah. We'd be like out in the middle of the night and then like her shoe would break.
Oh, yeah. No, the Shoe Dazzle shoes were kind of, they were not of quality. Let's say that. They were not of quality. I can say that because I didn't work there. Technically, you could say it too. You don't really work there anymore either. And I don't even think Kim Kardashian I don't even know if she got anything out of it.
I don't know.
I don't know what happened to Shoe Dazzle. But it's interesting because that was around the same time, that whole era of subscription. That was actually how we met, was through Ipsy, which was a beauty subscription company.
Yes.
And I actually remember meeting you we had like a studio day event. And that was the first time I met you. And I remember thinking, who is she? She's the coolest person. Honestly, I just thought she's so cool. Her makeup is so cool. And I was also surprised by just how you were so soft and like so, like you said, chill. Because your look was so, it was very intimidating, but in a really cool way. Like how you did your makeup and everything. It was almost like an armor, like a mask. And when I really got to know you, I felt like there's so many layers beneath you that's so different than the mask that you wear in the front.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's how I felt when I first met you. And yeah, it's so interesting that era of subscription, and I had no idea. I had no idea you worked at Shoe Dazzle.
Yeah, it was actually right down the street too from Ipsy Studios.
I remember.
That's
crazy.
I worked on the creative team, so I don't know. It was like I was familiar basically with like the business model.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really interesting. Then, but yeah, I'll never forget that first day walking into the studio. And they had like all the seamlesses up on the walls.
Yeah.
And we met you and I was just like, oh my God, Michelle Phan, like this is unreal.
That's so crazy. It felt literally like a lifetime ago.
Dude.
And it's so insane how the industry has changed, because I remember back then, if you wanted to make content like what we were making, you actually did need proper studio setup. And today you just need an iPhone and sunlight and you're good. It's so crazy how things have changed so fast too.
So I remember, I started posting on Instagram in 2012 just with my iPhone, and I had gained a following, and I was still at Shoe Dazzle, and with all the creatives, they were showing me your videos.
No way.
Yes.
What?
And they're like, you should do what she's doing. And I was like, I can't do that because I was like, I don't know how to I don't know the first thing about like making a video or editing. And I was like, her videos are so professional. I was like, if I did get to do it, I'd want to be able to do my videos like that because it just seemed impossible. And then my friend, he gave me like this shitty little webcam. It was like some Logitech webcam. I started uploading on YouTube. And then I don't know how long I was on YouTube, but before I got the email asking if I wanted to be an Ipsy
Wait, did you
stylist.
apply for OS? Like, did they reach out to you?
Oh,
Ipsy?
they reached out to
Oh,
me. This was
interesting.
before OS though.
Yeah, yeah. I think we were just about to launch it. That's why we
Uh,
didn't announce it or anything. That's so cool. Wow.
hmm
I'm actually really proud of the team. Like they knew. They were kind of on the forefront of finding all the cool up and coming creators.
Yeah, it was an exciting
It
time.
was, yeah. And I also had no idea that you worked at Mac. It
hmm
makes so much sense now because you're so good at beauty and just I remember like when you were doing all the looks, I was like, wow, like she's literally a professional.
Thank you. Yeah, I was a freelancer at Mac, so I never got to do like the training, which I always wanted to do because like I loved to learn, you know? But I would say like I grew so much as an artist working there just by when the store was slow, I would love to watch someone do a makeover because I like to see what brushes they use and what products and their techniques. So I really grew a lot as an artist working there.
Yeah. I also feel like when you work at beauty counters, because you're working on real faces,
Mm.
not models, you I think it's like one of the best training grounds as a makeup artist,
Yeah, I
you know?
agree.
Like they're not gonna have perfect skin, right? They don't so it makes so much sense why you're so talented.
Thank you. Yeah, I worked in I started in the Bay Area and then worked in like San Francisco, San Mateo, and then in LA too. And then eventually I started just like freelancing on the side for myself and then I stopped working at Mac.
Did you ever consider having a career as an influencer?
No.
Really?
No. That was what my friends were trying to encourage me. They were showing me you,
That's
being like,
crazy.
"Look, she's successful." And I just thought I was like, I can't do that, you know? It was just like a hobby and it just developed. The word influencer wasn't even a word
I
at the
know.
time.
Yeah. They didn't know what to call us. They called us like new media stars.
I feel like everyone called you guys beauty gurus.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Guru.
was gurus. It was a YouTube terminology.
Yeah.
Because back then, like you had to pick a category.
Uh,
Either you're a comedian or you're this or that. And they didn't have beauty. They just had guru. I'm like, I'm not a
oh,
comedian. I'm
really?
not an actor. I'm not a director. I'm not any of this. I guess I'm a guru. And that's why it kind of stuck with everyone. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I remember that.
So what were your dreams and aspirations when you were younger, when you were a kid?
You know what's interesting is like I was always a natural artist. Like I always loved to draw and paint, and my parents were super supportive of that. But when I look back, I feel like I was really influenced to be a big achiever. And the only reason I didn't pursue art is because I didn't think I could be successful enough at art.
Mm,
So it's hard to like, because my perspective has changed now. So when I look back, it's hard to see. I think my motivations were like, it didn't actually matter what I did as long as I was like rich and had status
yeah,
and I don't know, autonomy in my life. I think that was what I valued more than what I actually did because that was what I thought made someone important in life.
totally. I subscribe to that too for the longest time. I
Yeah.
think most people do, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I didn't prioritize like what my passion was. I think my passion was achievement.
Mm.
Or, you know what I'm saying? Like that was what mattered to me then.
So what would you say changed?
Well, I understand now what I didn't understand back then is that I was trying to fill a void with external things. Like my soul was starving and I was just feeding the ego.
Yeah,
And I was like, why don't I feel better? Something's missing. You must need to make more money. You must need to be thinner. You must need more subscribers or something. And it was like I was just like flailing and drowning and nothing was working. But I was trying, you know, and I think I also was burnt out because it was a lot. When I look back on it, I'm like, my life changed really fast and it didn't slow down, you know, and I look back and I expected myself how to know how to handle everything. But it's like, I should have afforded myself more grace. So yeah, I think just like over time, like I said, my identity was based around my profitability, my status, my personality, and the way that the external world interacted with me.
oh yeah,
My entire sense of self was the way that the world interacted with me, which always changes.
of
So
course.
when I did good, I felt good about myself. When I thought I was doing bad, I felt really bad about myself. And then I was like, wait, there's still more. And I was like, the pressure that you felt and all of your critiques are nothing but a product of your own perception. And so you don't have to put that pressure on yourself. And you can acknowledge that there are, desire systems that exist that aren't good to people. But if you think that being angry about it is going to change anything, you're not going to get anywhere. So I really looked at like all the pressure that I felt. I'm like, dude, you put that on yourself. And I
Wow.
don't blame myself. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
blameless. It's no one's fault. The only thing you can do is just keep moving forward without, thinking that you have to conform to anybody else's rules.
What was interesting to me is you were mentioning you were making content that you thought people wanted from you. Like, what was that relationship like with your audience back then when you were consistently uploading content and everything and you were in a way kind of performing? Like, who was the character you were creating to the world?
I don't know. I have no idea because I wasn't really connected to myself. So I feel like I'm hypercritical. So in my mind, the way I look back on it and rationalize it was like, because you weren't truly connected to yourself, you probably weren't truly connected to your audience. But then I talk with my audience all the time and I feel like they don't feel that way. Like we have an amazing connection, but it's only gotten better since.
So I feel like from the outside in, people see our lives, they want our lives. Because we only show the best parts, right? And so because of that, I think a lot of people don't actually know what's happening behind the scenes. And I was wondering if you could kind of paint a picture for the audience on who you were during the height of everything and I guess before that spiritual awakening moment.
So it was 2021, still kind of coming out of COVID times. I didn't have management. I was looking to work with a new management company. I was super anxious. I was depressed. I was drinking more than I had ever drank. I weighed more than I had ever weighed. I was like, 250 pounds. And so my health was in the trash. My mental health was in the trash, but I thought the solution was you need to work harder, you need to lose weight, you need to make money, and your life is going to be fixed. And I was just scrambling, and avoiding. That's why I was drinking, because I was so afraid to look inside and really acknowledge my pain was begging for me to acknowledge it. And I thought if I did that, it would destroy me. And so I invested all of my energy in avoiding and numbing down my pain. And that is actually what was destroying me. But I wouldn't allow myself to stop and reflect to realize that. I thought the solution was go faster, hustle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And then finally, so it was June 2021 and this traumatic accident happened. And after that was my life never, ever went back to being the same. So I ended up in the hospital. And then when I came out of it, I still had the same mindset. I was like, you need to just forget this happened, go back to work, get snatched to make money and it's going to fix everything. And I felt different. Like it was so hard to explain. It was like my reality was flipped upside down and I was having panic attacks. And what I realized now was that my body was trying to communicate with me that something needed to change. And so finally, I started looking at videos on YouTube. I started learning about the soul and the ego, and I felt really validated because I didn't know what was up and what was down. And I realized that I needed to explore this without the pressure of having to share anything on social media.
Oh, yeah.
So I deleted all of my social media. I was in the middle of negotiating a contract, and I said, actually, no, I did tell them. I was like, I want to focus on art and writing, and they're like, we don't have like the infrastructure to support you with that. So I was like, that's fine, And so I deleted all my social media, and I just basically like went on a spiritual journey in that year.
Did, yeah. Did you feel anxious? Did you feel relieved or?
I felt excited.
Really?
I felt free. I was like, you do whatever you want. And everyone in my life is like, are you going to go back to work? Like, are you going to go to school? Like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I have no idea. It's like,
that's the Matrix talking to you. You know what I'm saying?
I also recently read a book about spiritual bypassing, which is that.
It is totally that.
When you
Yeah.
forego life's responsibilities in pursuit of connection with God. But I look back at it and I'm like, I was supposed to do everything I did,
Yeah,
you know? And actually,
absolutely.
I still don't have a plan.
I
I'm really strong in my values, but how it's going to take shape, I don't know. And it's interesting. I was listening to a podcast earlier, and they were talking about uncertainty.
mhm.
And normally, uncertainty, or there's a lot of comfort in certainty, but they're talking about how uncertainty contains possibility.
Oh, just got goosebumps. Ooh.
And that's exciting. And that's where I think that's why I don't feel stressed about it. Like I just trust it, you know?
Yeah, because you are literally embodying what you are living right now, what you believe. And I'm a big believer that the unknown, like you said, the uncertainty, the unknown is really where transformation awaits,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Because you can't change in comfort. You need to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What was the big aha moment during your inner journey? Like for me, my big aha moment during my inner journey was, oh my gosh, all my thoughts in my head, I could just change the script and it changes my reality. Like I'm literally thinking about this, I'm looping the same negative thoughts over and over and over again, and I'm choosing this. And all I have to do is just let it go and forgive or whatever, right? Like, and I did it and I actually embodied it and it's completely changed my reality. So that was my big aha moment, was the the story I tell myself. I'm empowered to change that story. I'm in control of what I tell myself rather than what everyone else is telling me.
That's powerful. I still struggle with that.
I mean,
The conditioned mind is so
I know.
powerful.
I mean, it's think about it. How old are we, and how many years of that we have to unprogram? We have to be kind to ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be like instant.
Mm-hmm. No, I allow it. I allow all like my human stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it does, you know, stuff comes up all the time. But I realize that that's part of the journey.
It is, and something I've learned, and I'm not struggling so much more with it, is the reason why it's because I don't judge anymore. So when I
Yes.
get a thought or a negative emotion or a negative thought comes into my mind or my heart, I don't judge it anymore. I actually observe it with no judgment, and I'll ask myself, why is this here? Like, and that's it. After that, I let it go. And I make note of it, but I let it go. And if it keeps coming back over and over again, I do certain things where I pray it away, or I have positive mantras I say to myself. Essentially, I am brainwashing myself, but it's good because I'm doing it to myself. I'm very intentional on what I'm telling myself. So that was my big aha moment, was, wow, all the stuff that's running in my head and all the emotions I'm holding in my heart, I'm literally doing it to myself.
Yeah. Mine was kind of similar. It was like absolutely like plain. Like it just I was listening to music one day because I was like, you're gonna rest, do whatever you want, listen to music, clean the house. And I did that. And I was like, the music, it was like at the first friggin' time I've heard music before. I was like so moved by like the same songs that have been on my playlist for years.
Yeah.
So after I was reflecting, I'm like, what the hell is going on
Wow.
with you? And then I realized that I was taking music for granted.
Wow.
Like, because it's here on your phone and you didn't realize how lucky you were to have
Yeah.
music. And then that became a metaphor for literally everything in my life. I was like, you've been taking your body for granted. This is your vehicle to get you through this life. And you've been mad at it and starving it and punishing it and poisoning it. And you've been taking it for granted. It's keeping you breathing. It's keeping you alive. And everything. And then, so with that became reflected out all the people in my life, the fact that I have a roof over my head, the fact that I have water to drink and food, like everything, the little things that I take it for granted. And I just watched my life transform. And once I stopped judging myself, like you said, I quieted that inner critic, because I was like, when you judge yourself and you have your attachments, those are just a conceptual model.
Exactly.
Because you are what you are. And it's your choice of whether you want to be attached to it or you just watch it arise and watch it pass.
And detach.
Yes. And so once my relationship with myself changed, all of my relationships with the people in my life just blossomed. And after I forgave, because I did have to forgive myself for all the stupid shit that I've done, you know? And I did, and I had a clean slate with myself. And then with everyone in my life, I was like, what about the people you've hurt in your life? And it's interesting because this is what they have you do in recovery. I wasn't in recovery yet, but it just felt natural for me to go to everybody and have the conversation that like a little thing happened or maybe a big thing for years, but you kind of glossed over. And I had all those conversations with everyone in my life. And some people were like, you don't need to apologize, but I'm glad you did.
Wow.
Other people were like, I have to apologize for something too. And I was like, you don't need to. But basically it was like we had a completely new relationship because now it was founded on this total trust, honesty, like vulnerability, because we said the things that we thought we couldn't say to each other. And then I thought, I'm like, take it a step further. Like, if you have this relationship with yourself and everyone else, I'm like, why can't you apply this to all of life's circumstances? And so
You're such an achiever. You're still an achiever.
No,
look at that.
This is in theory.
Yeah.
In practice, it's a practice.
Okay.
You
but
know?
in theory, I like this theory though.
That's my intention. My intention is to be free, which includes all my foibles and flaws and getting caught up in all my human stuff too, which happens every day. I feel like every day I go in and out of like forgetting and remembering, you know?
Yeah, I think like a lot of these moments that come to us, a lot of it is just, it's the program. It's so strong. It's still, it's the fear. It's trying to get you to come back to the body.
No, I agree with you. That was a huge shift for me too, was learning that I could validate my own emotions.
Yes.
And also redefining what it meant to love myself. Because I thought I only experienced conditional love for myself. I only loved myself when I was good. And how could I say I love myself when there are things that I need to fix? And then so changing, how does one love? So instead of looking at it as like, how do I love myself? Changing it to how do I accept myself more? Would just changed everything.
That. Wow. That is like a massive breakthrough.
That's actually from a Ram Dass lecture. I'm not going to.
It's good. No, I think a lot of these knowledge, it's primordial, you know, it's older than humanity. It's part of the universe.
Yeah. Because it really did help me redefine like what love means. And yoga means union.
Yeah.
So it's oneness, it's connection, it's acceptance, and not conditional love. So that was a big shift for me too.
That's when you know it's perfect love, is when it's unconditional. Like that's when I finally understood, like, oh, I get the whole Jesus unconditional love. I get the whole mother unconditional love. I get it now. Like how a dog gives unconditional love, you know? It's so powerful. When you actually truly embody it is when you feel it. So yeah, I had a hard time coming back. I had a hard time coming back to this reality. Yeah, the real world. I was like, I don't want to promote consumerism. I don't want to promote this or that. Like, I want to promote spirituality. But I knew there's time for that. It took me a year to get back grounded to earth again after my crazy awakening.
Yeah, I relate to that. I was in the same boat. I was like, what am I supposed to do with my life now?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't feel like I have any authority to be talking about. I'm a student of spirituality, you know, I'm not a teacher. And so, yeah, I relate to that. I didn't know. And then, you know, they say before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water.
Yeah.
And after enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. So I'm like, first of all, you're fucking lucky to have an audience. So lucky. That was the other thing. I was taking everything for granted. And so I thought, yeah, I should come back and utilize this gift that I've been given. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about spirituality or, you know, eyeliner or whatever. The what matters is that you're connecting with people in a genuine way.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be.
And it is, to me, beauty is self-love.
Yeah.
You think about how long makeup has been around, even like ancient Egyptians. And to me, they're so advanced when it comes to consciousness and spirituality. And it's been around for thousands of years for a reason. I really believe it is art, because you're an artist and that is your paintbrush, right? That is your medium and your face is your canvas. But I get what you're saying. There's a moment when I was like, ew, makeup, blah, like it's so superficial. How can I promote that, you know?
I didn't have that with beauty. I did demonize a lot of things, but with beauty, like I never actually demonized it. Because I was like, it's self-expression.
Yeah.
Like it's not harming anyone, you know? So I did think that was interesting because I changed my mind about a lot of things.
Really?
Yeah, but with beauty, I never had a problem with that.
So you're going through like You're basically having the spiritual enlightenment and you're integrating everything back in. But there was a moment when you did move, right? Because you were living in LA and you moved to Mexico. Like, what was that timeline like?
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
And actually, so when I had my time off from social media, one of my friends lived in Mexico. So I would go stay with her. And it was just such a different experience, like not at a resort or a hotel, like in the day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
And I just fell in love with it. Like I felt like I had this magic, energy, vibe. And I wanted to move then, but I'm really glad I didn't
How
because
come?
well, I was still drinking back then.
Oh,
So the timing wasn't right. So it worked out perfect for me to move down when
it's
I
always
did.
divine timing, right? Your
Yes.
higher self always knows.
Yeah, because I was serious about it too. But I wasn't ready to make that
Mm.
big of a change in my life at that time.
So, what was your relationship like with alcohol?
So I was using it to self-medicate.
Mm.
I was always just like a social drinker until I wasn't. So awkward.
We've all been there, honey.
No, yeah, I was drinking every single day. I was drinking like 2 bottles of wine a day. And during like the height of COVID is when
Oh,
my
so
drinking got
bad.
really bad.
Oh my gosh.
Because before that, I was still functioning.
Yeah.
You know, I still had to show up and be places. But then, yeah, during COVID is when my drinking got really bad. And actually, so probably starting in like 2019 until I finally went to rehab in 2021, I was trying and failing to get sober. I was going to recovery meetings and I couldn't get more than like a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so when this spiritual awakening happened, it's interesting because I was still drinking, but I was like, time is ticking because I
Mm.
knew it didn't serve me. I already knew that. But interestingly, yeah, like I think it was like, oh no, it was 6 months after my spiritual awakening that I finally decided to go to rehab. And learning about spirituality, Eastern philosophy, and the mind body connection actually was huge in helping me heal my inner trauma. Like so much of this, yes, it's about spirituality, but it's also about science and mental health.
Yeah.
Because really, what it was that it's enabled me getting sober, losing weight, and just being an all around healthier person was like doing a lot of trauma work. I feel like I jumped around a lot.
No, that's you're hitting the nail. Yeah.
I
You're
also,
hitting the
s-
target.
I
I'm gonna
also,
move
s-
this.
oh,
I just want to do it there. Okay, perfect.
I didn't realize too. Okay, so one of the books I read that had the biggest impact on me was The Myth of Normal by Dr. Gabor Mate.
Okay.
Are you familiar with him?
I haven't heard about that book.
You would love him.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. He's so smart. So it helped me reframe the way I view trauma. And I didn't realize that my addiction was a trauma response. So learning that, I had a whole new compassion for myself and everyone. Because a lot of the times we look at addicts as like some sort of moral failures.
Yeah.
They're selfish, they're lazy. And I just had a completely brand new understanding that a this is a coping mechanism,
It
that these
is.
people are trying to heal their
Yeah.
pain, but we don't have sympathy for them,
Yeah.
because we do terrible things when we're in our
Yeah.
addiction.
It's true. And it's so
Um,
easy for people to judge,
oh yeah. Yeah. So learning that, the 2 books, The Myth of Normal and then The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh yeah, I love that book. Body
Yeah.
Keeps Score is an amazing book.
Essential
Yeah,
for
it
healing.
is.
I
It
feel like
is.
if you have big trauma, little trauma, anyone would benefit from
Yeah.
reading those books.
They just need to become aware of that. I
Mhm.
think most people are not even aware that they have trauma. I think most people think trauma means only soldiers gets trauma, only people who experience something catastrophic. But a trauma can just be like you were 2 and your parents were fighting in front of each other, and that's going to traumatize you, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
It's embedded in you deep, 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 deep down.
Yeah. What I understood is that my fight or flight response is to check out, because
Yeah.
I learned that as a child as a way to protect myself, as a way to bear the unbearable. And it got hardwired into my brain. So when something scary happened, that was the first thing I do to self-soothe is I need to get away from this. If I can't get away mentally, if I can't get away physically, I'll get away mentally.
Okay, so you were in rehab. So what happened afterwards?
So yeah, I spent around 30 days in inpatient, and they sent me directly from inpatient to outpatient rehab. I didn't even go home,
Oh, wow.
which was honestly really good for me because I was really nervous about going home. And then I did 3 months in outpatient, And I've stayed sober ever since.
Wow.
Yeah. In December, it will be 2 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow. What would be the one biggest takeaway that really resonated with you through that whole process of that one nugget that you learned?
It was such a wild ride. But I heard something that I had never heard before where in rehab, and they said that connection is the opposite of addiction.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And it was so healing for me, the connection with people and the
Yeah.
relationships that I made. And I didn't anticipate that. And there would be times where people were so vulnerable and honest. We didn't reach any new conclusions. We didn't learn any new, techniques. It was just the fact of that connection that was so healing. So that was the biggest thing for me. Like I will take that with me for the rest of my life.
Wow.
Like those connections touched my heart.
There's this quote I love. I don't know the full quote. I just know the ending of the quote, which really stuck with me, which is, you never forget who you cried with, And it's so true. Like, I forget who I laugh with.
Mm-hmm.
I forget who I argue with. I never forget who I cried with.
Mm.
I know something for myself when I was going through my healing journey. When I was at my highest peak self-destructive mode, I just stressed eat. I ate so much, and I've never weighed more than my life, and I just didn't care. I literally told everyone, I don't care if I'm ugly. I actually want to look uglier because I just felt like complete garbage. And the past few years since I've been on my healing journey, I literally feel like I've been shedding so much of that weight, and it feels like trauma weight. That's what I tell people. Like, I felt like I shed trauma weight. So I don't know if you experienced anything, because I felt like my body changed when I went through my healing journey.
Yeah. Dude, I was so self-destructive too. Like, so I relate to that. The shift came for me with the identification with, looking at my body as something to get me through this life. Because I knew, so I was working out, I was crash dieting. Basically, I've been on a diet since I was like 16. And I was like yo-yoing always. I was never able to like have healthy weight loss. And people would always be like, why don't you just eat balanced? And da-da-da. I'd be like, of course, like if I could, I couldn't, because food was an addiction to me because I was self-soothing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I couldn't stop. Like when I wanted to check out, I was going to binge eat. And my binging, I started binge eating in my teenage years. And I finally healed that once I got sober. And food just ruled my life. I was always worried about what I was eating or what I wasn't eating. Basically, once I eliminated the alcohol and binge eating, then I realized I was like, wow, this is pretty easy actually, because I'd built so much knowledge through my unhealthy habits.
I see.
Yeah. So, and then also working out is absolutely central to my spiritual practice. It's my time when I connect, I listen to music, I have this incredible mind-body connection. And I feel like when I don't work out, I don't feel the same spiritually. And they say too, like any method is valid. Like there's so many different methods.
Totally.
And
I meditate.
yeah,
If I don't meditate for a day, I feel like something's off.
it's so cool. I heard about there's one lady who crochets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another girl's spiritual practice is hula hooping.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are no rules, and
Exactly.
working out is one of my
Totally.
or it's just central to my.
It is part of spirituality.
Yeah.
Working out.
And then also, I feel like once I'm identified with my oneness, then actions that are good for me feel harmonious.
Yes.
So I don't feel like I'm punishing myself when I'm working out or I'm eating healthy, because I'm like, this is good for my body, so it feels good. And I'm so flexible with it. Like if I love Trader Joe's snacks, and I can have whatever I want.
They're good.
Oh yeah.
They just know how to curate the best stuff, honestly.
Yes.
They have good merchandising buyer person.
But it was a shift to come from binge eating, because I was always like black and white. So I had to shift and be like, you can have anything you want when you want it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So I'm never on a diet.
A lot of your decision making before the shift was fear-based. And then after the healing and after the embodiment, now it's love.
Yeah.
A lot of the decisions now is love. It's like, I'm working out not to lose weight, but to connect to my body and to be healthy. It's so amazing what happens when you shift your decision making from fear to love, and how life-changing that is.
I know. And I always wanted to, like, I don't want to say feel the way I feel now. Like, oh, I'm got it so together. But I wanted to be detached before, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
You do ever feel like that?
Yeah,
Like
of
when,
course.
so
Yeah.
I think the lesson is in this is to always trust where you're at, because
Yeah.
the past is what brought me here
Yeah.
to actually feel that way,
You have to trust the process. Even when you feel like it's hell on earth, it is part of the process. You
Yeah.
have to ride it out. That's why I tell people, just ride it out.
Yeah, that's what I say too. I'm like, I'm riding the waves,
Mm-hmm.
because they still come. They're always gonna come.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
We go through peaks and valleys all the time. Like what you do at your peak defines your valley, and what you do during your valleys defines your peaks.
Yeah. I always like to think too, or what I tell myself, I'm like, after every low, there is a high.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
prepare
It's
yourself.
true.
I'm
Get ready
like,
for that peak.
yes. I'm like, here's another lesson, but something good is coming. So yeah, it is helpful to just be like, this is not going to last. Nothing lasts.
Nothing lasts.
Yeah.
Yep. Everything changes.
Oh, but I've lost 90 pounds. Isn't
That's
that crazy?
crazy. I'm so proud of you. You look amazing. You feel amazing. Like the energy when you walked in, I just felt this energy of lightness.
Oh,
I mean, it's wonderful. I'm so proud of you. And
thank you.
I think the audience that are listening to this, it's so inspiring. Like it really is inspiring, because a lot of creators and influencers, there's a lot of shame they carry. They hide a lot of the shame. And I think what's amazing is you're like an alchemist. You took a lot of that fear and shame and you transmuted it into this light now, this new self that you're embodying. And I love it. I love this new Christina, this new era.
Thank you.
I'm here for it. So now that you're kind of floating in this river with no direction, you're trusting where this river is taking you, you have to have at least something you want, as in like some sort of intention. Because I'm at a place in my life where I'm not setting any crazy goals, because I realized the more expectations I put, the more disappointed I'm going to be. I'm just going to put my intention out there, which my intention is I want to connect with people. I want to create out of love, and I'm trusting in the process. So I'd love to know, what is the intention you're putting out now that you're floating in this river?
Yeah. So I like still do have goals and intentions too. Like, it sounds cooler if I'm like, I have no plan. I'm like, no, I definitely do. Yeah, I have the intention of continuing to connect with people on social media, because I feel so lucky that I'm able to have an audience and that we're able to talk about really important things, human things.
Yes.
So that is my intention, is to continue to do that, continue to make dope art, fun stuff. And then also I'm working on my writing. And that's also something I did when I deleted my social media. I started taking classes.
Oh my gosh. Are you doing like kind of like fiction writing, or?
I'm working on a memoir.
What?
Yeah. So all the
Wow.
things, honestly, I can't wait to just, I'm going to tell the truth.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait.
It's going to be a lot, but I just can't wait to be freed of it, because then it's out there and it's the truth, you know?
Wow, I'm so excited for this new era. Just this new era of creativity and transformation and truth and just embodying it.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you, babe.